This module is looking at Part M, purpose, content and relationship. We should understand that Part M is driven by EASA regulations, and that within the Part M environment, the management of the continuing airworthiness of the aircraft is documented, the process and procedures. In addition, all the various elements of the maintenance program management and the four primary areas that we talk about when we talk about continuing airworthiness, which are the maintenance planning, the reliability, the technical records, and what's the other one? Engineering. All of these are the key areas of the Part M environment. So let's have a look. Part M was something of a milestone. What do we mean? Well, when JAROPS 1 was introduced in 1998 in Europe, it brought with it an understanding concerning the obligation to manage maintenance. Prior to 1998, typically the 145 organisation would manage maintenance. Is it okay? Yes, to a degree it's okay. However, when we look at history, there was some exposure. For example, I moved my aeroplane from one maintenance company to another, and to another, and to a third. My aeroplane is 20 years old. The third maintenance company has got no information regarding what happened in the early days of my aircraft. But you say, well, they have. You've given them all the records. Okay, so what do they do with the records? Are they going to understand them and learn them and install them on their system? This will be a huge expense. So it wasn't happening in that way. As a result, some aircraft suffered incidents, accidents, and in a few occasions fatalities as a result of mismanagement of the maintenance. And in 1998 they took the opportunity, they said, okay, we're going to fix this. We're going to connect the obligation to manage the maintenance with the aircraft owner or the aircraft operator. And it was the right thing to do. It was a very positive thing, and since then it has made a big difference. So starting with the introduction of JAROPS in 1998, it became standalone Part M in 2003, and it became mandatory in 2006. So all aircraft now in the European environment must be managed by the owner or the operator. Does that mean that the 145 cannot manage? They can, but the relationship with the 145 becomes one of subcontract. Means I am the owner or the operator of the aeroplane, I manage the aeroplane. If I want the 145 to do it, they can do it, but they're doing it directly on my behalf and I retain responsibility. We will talk more about contract and subcontract later. So, in essence, it meant that the operator who previously may not have been involved in the part of the business now had to demonstrate status of all mandatory requirements associated with the ongoing serviceability and compliance of the aircraft. And essentially what it means is the status of all the airworthiness directives back to birth. The status of all modifications, the compliance with the maintenance program. If the aircraft's had any repairs, the repair history back to birth, showing for each repair either approval or conformity with the structure repair manual. So, within Part M we have a number of subparts. Subpart A, this is a general introduction. Subpart B concerns the accountability, as we've said. the accountable manager is ultimately responsible and must, in actual fact, be able to show compliance within the organisation. And we say here, the need to appoint a person with the necessary authority to manage the organisation and the availability of funds and resources to ensure compliance. So if I want to have an operation that's approved, I will get that approval from the regulator of the state of the operator or the maintenance company, and as part of that I need to show sufficient finance to fund the organisation. And in addition, we have in Subpart B, we have the requirement to report. There is a mandatory obligation to report findings to the regulator. And in fact, we have a window, 72 hours. Within this window, we must report anything that is considered to be reportable. And we say, well, we're not sure what's reportable. Well, it's identified for us. There is an AMC, remember, acceptable means of compliance. The AMC number is 20-8. It's this one. AMC 20-8, and 20-8 gives us guidance on what is reportable and across a range of areas. For example, the operations, technical means maintenance environment, engineering typically means within the camo environment, and finally in terms of air navigation as well, which is not so relevant to us. Then we have Subpart C, and it's highlighted. Subpart C concerns the control processes of the aircraft maintenance program and associated task processes. The need for a reliability program. Subpart C identifies which tasks may be subcontracted to third parties and the responsibilities associated with this process. And we've used again the term subcontracted. Subcontracted means that we are transferring a task to another organisation, but we remain responsible for this task. This is subcontract. Contract means I'm giving a task to an organisation and they are responsible. So 145 maintenance, I take my aeroplane to a 145 organisation. We have a relationship. That relationship is a contract. At the end of an agreement, at the end of this contract, they will give me a certificate of release to service. So that's how the process works. And in fact, the certificate of release to service is very specific. It actually says that in respect of the maintenance that has been performed on the aircraft is fit to fly. It doesn't say that the aircraft is airworthy. There is a difference. The 145 is not declaring the aircraft airworthy, it's declaring that the work that they've done has been done correctly, and in respect of the work that they've done, the aircraft is serviceable. For all we know, there may be outstanding work that's not been performed. Airworthiness directives, for example, have not been performed. Is it the responsibility of the 145? And the answer is not. It's the responsibility of the operator. And the operator manages this responsibility through, of course, its CAMO, Continuing Airworthiness Management Organisation. So, Subpart C is a very, very important part in Part M for the maintenance planning, because all our rules for maintenance planning are in Subpart C. Subpart D concerns the responsibility of the operator in respect of all approved documentation. Within the aviation environment, we have a huge amount of documents, manuals, etc., etc. All these documents have to be managed. We have to be able to demonstrate to the regulator the documents we're using are to the latest revision status. We must be able to. Otherwise, we're in jeopardy. And for example, if we have a large gap between what we're supposed to do and what we're actually doing, the regulator is completely within their powers to suspend our approval. And if that happens, we are not able to operate. So it's a very serious environment, and the obligation to maintain compliance is of the utmost importance. However, my recommendation is that we develop our processes and our procedures to develop in excess of the regulations. Means that the regulatory compliance does not become our ultimate objective. It shouldn't be. The ultimate objective should be to manage our operation in the most effective way possible, cost effective, efficient, and during this process to ensure we are fully compliant. Now, if you can see the difference in what I'm saying, you're starting to understand one of the challenges that we have to overcome. Because many organisations focus on regulatory compliance as the ultimate goal, and it's not. The ultimate goal is to have an efficient, effective, profitable organisation with the capacity to grow. An organisation like Emirates with 200 aeroplanes operating in a small little Emirati, 600,000 people. How do they make this business work? Because they focus on the business, not on the compliance. And I see so many organisations that focus on trying to comply with the regulations and falling short. And the comment we had earlier about inspection standards, they should come from within the organisation, not waiting to be told what to do by the regulator. Remembering that the role of the organisation is to comply, not to wait for the regulator to tell the organisation what to do.